Welcome to my channel, welcome to my video. Today a new video on the prepping series, and today we're going to talk about several new points of potential risks that we want to analyze. And again, as always, I am doing the risks from my perspective, and I'm hoping that you join in and do the risk from your perspective. Without further ado, let's get going. Quickly, if you didn't see one of these videos before, I'm an engineer, and one of the things engineers do is risk assessment when they design new machines, equipment, or software, or whatever. The goal of a risk assessment is to see what potential dangers there could be, what we need to look out for, how we can protect ourselves or the machine or users, or etc. So there's a specific method for that, and today I'm going to use that method for analyzing risks, different risks, and how to prep for them. We've done that in the past. There's different groups to rate a risk, and today we will continue to do so. Okay, so the risk that we are looking at today is political unrest, riots, and violence. Now, obviously, in America, it's potentially a hot topic with Trump taking over from Biden. But obviously, there's Russia and Ukraine, and there's some other countries that have some type of war, or there's tension. Looking for me, I live in the Netherlands, in a small village, and basically for me there is not much going on. But let's look at the options and the risks. Now, if you're in the area, or if you are in a country, why could there be why could there be unrest or violence or riots or whatever? A probable cause could be rioting, because people aren't happy about something. It could be because of demonstrations that go out of hand. It could be that violence occurs because of it. And one of the reasons people might do so is, for example, what you see now in America with Donald Trump coming back into becoming the president again. But it could also be because of inflation and high living costs. It could be of fuel prices or anything else. So there's several probable causes for riots and unrest and demonstrations and violence. What is the potential effect or consequence of such an occurrence? And property damage obviously is a big one. Sabotage and shortages, so food, fuel, medical care, they could be difficult to get to because of rioting. It might be that the power is down, so you cannot pay maybe. And the other thing is that people might get injured or potentially even die. And also, if the roads are blocked, then trucks and so on might have limited access to bring groceries, or your mail might be late or stuff like that. And therefore there can also be more than one injured person, and there can also be more than one death because of it, potentially. So therefore it is quite a high risk score of 9. Now let's look at what can we do to not get involved, unless obviously you want to get involved. But let's assume you don't want to get involved because you want to understand, or you don't want to get hurt or whatever. So first of all, follow the news. If you hear that there is going to be a demonstration and it might be a little bit violent or whatever, then stay away from that place. So and if it takes place, generally they don't do it in a field. They generally do it inside the city center or some meaningful place. So stay away from those city centers and those particular places that they're aiming for. Prepping wise, yeah, I think it's just you don't know where it's gonna go. They might they might damage property, which could also mean there's no power. So flashlights, batteries, candles, for light and so on. And then, yeah, if there's no power, you might not be able to cook. So have an alternative cooking method. Have a barbecue, have a camping stove. Solar panels might be handy, or a generator. Have bottles of water. Have several options to boil water, as I said, a barbecue and a camping stove, for example. Have a live straw and tablets to purify water. Have cash on you. As I said, if the power is out, you might not be able to pay. If you need gasoline or whatever, you better have some cash. Toilet paper obviously is also quite critical, and food, and etc. etc. If the power is off, it might be nice to have a handheld radio, and have some protection if the riots get close to you, a small baseball bat or something like that. Potentially have different sleeping arrangement or sleeping possibilities. For example, let's say your bedroom is on the roadside, and there's a lot of noise there, that you can grab a sleeping bag and sleep on the attic or on the other side of the house, or maybe even in your shed. I don't know, but that's a couple of things to look out for. Now, for myself, as I mentioned in previous parts of this series, is that I live in a small town. I would highly doubt that something like that would happen here. So for me personally, the risk score is lower, and for me personally, prepping wise, everything that is on this list I already have. So for me, there's nothing here to do additionally. Okay, so in one of my previous videos I already mentioned about the changes in the war, hybrid war and regular war, so I'm not going in that too much. Let's just look at the list. So Russia obviously has a lot of nuclear weapons, so there could be a possibility of Russia using nuclear weapons as a last defense. Highly unlikely in my opinion. Now, the other things that I mentioned then is they're most likely looking to hack important government buildings, for example, government sites and stuff like that, to get to sensitive information. And basically that is, if it's disruptive, it will be considered as a terrorist attack. It's very difficult to trace and to pinpoint who did what and who paid for what. But yeah, that is something that the government has to look into then. It will create unrest, and it will create misinformation on who does what and why and how. And the big issue here is damage to critical infrastructure, and then basically that goes back to the point of no power, no clean water at the same time. That would be one of the most disruptive and realistic things that could happen. Okay, so what could happen? Death and people getting hurt because polluted water, for example, or not being able to get to emergency, or their respirators or other equipment not working because there's no power, etc. etc. It could cause pollution. It could cause the logistical system to collapse. I mean, if there's no fuel, people cannot pay for fuel, then how do you drive your car or your truck or whatever? It would lead to rioting most probably, and that will lead to property damage, and that altogether would cause infrastructure to collapse. Riots and looting, as I mentioned, and the cost of living will increase because people that have something will trade it, and you'll get a little bit of a silly situation, let's say, and that disrupts the daily lives. Obviously countries are at a high alert, and they're informing people in the Netherlands now as well. The stores, for example, are doing practice drills to ensure that they know what to do in case of such a situation. People need to get cash in-house, obviously safety systems are scaling up on to a higher alertness, and people also obviously are warned please be wary that something could happen, so prepare yourself. You know, looking at what we need for preparedness, basically the same as what we said previously. So flashlight, batteries, candles, alternative cooking methods, potentially solar panels, a generator, have bottled water, have options to boil water, have a live straw or water purifier, have cash as I mentioned, have critical stocks like toilet paper, food, water for your family including pets, and have a handheld radio with a power bank, have some protection for yourself and your house, a knife, a camera, a bed, potential, have an alternative sleeping position or a storm shelter. So then for myself, looking at this, what is the likelihood of these things happening? For me, a nuclear attack would be silly. For Russia to waltz basically through several thousand kilometers of Europe and different countries and to get to the Netherlands, I think would be a little bit silly and very unrealistic. So for me, either a long-range missile, or hacking. That is basically a misinformation as well. That is basically the thing that I'm looking for and preparing for. And when I say hacking, I mean, you know, attempting and succeeding into disrupting our lives by, for example, ensuring that we cannot pay with digital money or cards, or not having clean drinking water, not having power, those types of things. That is what I'm expecting that most likely will happen, and the risk score is 10. The reason being, it is likely, but the effect will be very high. If it happens, then just polluted drinking water could kill several people already. So yeah, that is something to consider definitely. Okay, so now point 12. Financial system collapsing. There is talk about changing over from the dollar back to gold standard, and maybe even cryptocurrency. And there's also a lot of countries that have a massive amount of debt, and if that has to be restructured, that could cause some unrest. So it could hurt the financial system, prices could go up, cost of living could become critical, and that obviously could go towards looting, demonstrations, rioting, etc. What is the likelihood? I think it's quite realistic. I think Donald Trump, for example, has said that he's pro-cryptocurrency, so that might invoke some changes. And yeah, what are the consequences? What are the risks? I cannot oversee it for now. And it might also mean that, for example, as they are making a transition, that you have to pay everything with cash. So yeah, the severity, it depends on how long it takes. If it takes 1 or 2 or 3 days, it should be fine. Everybody should have food for 2 or 3 days. Fuel is maybe a little bit different, but I think design controls is follow the news, and or as my friend says, follow the money. Yeah, prepping wise, what can you do for something? Have some cash at hand, have some fuel at hand, water at hand, and food at hand, and perhaps have solar panels, power banks, and generators to ensure that you have some cash money as well. So as I said, it's a likely scenario. I don't know how big the impact will be, but it's a likely scenario that this will happen for me as well, and for a lot of people in the world, I think. So okay, so that was a bunch of risks again. Back to the traditional video of looking at risks and rating risks. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you tagged along and did the exercise for yourself as well. If you enjoyed this video, if you enjoyed the information that you're getting from this video, then leave a thumbs up. Thanks for watching, and hope to see you in the next video. Thanks, and bye bye.